Acceptable PDA as needed hand-holding, light kissing. Poppy doesn't want to be trashy about it, though she freely admits that kissing Dallas could be an excellent way to pass the time. Oh, Poppy, you sweet, knave, debt-ridden fool. You think light kissing is going to fix a hockey player's reputation. Honey, you need a full-blown make-out session on the Jumbotron, preferably during a playoff game.
Must you always reduce everything to that? This is a clean romance, remember. It's about emotional connection, not salivary exchange. And frankly, I find your Jumbotron suggestion highly improbable.
Improbable. The whole premise is improbable. A famous hockey player falling for a curvy restaurant owner? It's like a rom-com written by an algorithm that's only been fed Hallmark movies and National Hockey League press releases.
You're being deliberately obtuse. Curvy is a perfectly acceptable descriptor.
Acceptable to whom? The marketing department. I bet she's got, like, 1 extra inch on her hips, and they're calling her the next Marilyn Monroe.
We're here today, despite colorful commentary, to discuss Funny Valentine by Courtney Walsh, a book that's apparently dividing the internet faster than a political debate at a family Thanksgiving dinner.
It's The Proposal meets the National Hockey League, with a dash of Pretty Woman, but make it G-rated, and the grandma is a snarky matchmaker.
Yes, a contractual fake relationship between a hockey star with a public relations problem and a small-town restaurant owner drowning in debt. A tale as old as time, or at least as old as Sandra Bullock's career.
And the author, Courtney Walsh. I'm picturing a sweet, little old lady who knits doilies and writes romance novels in her spare time, fueled by chamomile tea and the faint scent of mothballs.
I highly doubt that's accurate. And even if it were, what's wrong with mothballs? They keep the
romance fresh, like a perfectly preserved wedding dress from the 1950s.
Let's delve into the characters, shall we? We have Poppy Hart, our curvy protagonist. She's insecure, self-deprecating, and apparently terrible at flirting. Classic girl next door trope.
She's basically Meghan Markle before she snagged the prince. Except instead of a prince, she gets a hockey player with anger management issues.
He doesn't have anger management issues. He's in therapy. There's a difference.
Oh, right, the therapy he hates. Ownership is still forcing me to attend bi-monthly therapy sessions, even 9 months later, and I have to relive the accident over and over. Sounds like a blast. My ex-wife forced me into couples therapy. It ended in divorce. Coincidence? I think not.
Your ex-wife left you because you kept referring to her as Exhibit A in your arguments.
She was. Exhibit A of why I should never have gotten married in the first place. But back to Poppy. I diagnose her with low self-esteem, obviously, and possibly a mild case of Stockholm Syndrome, falling for the guy who's basically holding her restaurant hostage.
That's a rather extreme interpretation. And then we have Dallas Burke, the misunderstood bad boy, with a heart of gold. Apparently readers are swooning over his protectiveness of Poppy.
He's the classic, I'm not a bad boy, I'm just drawn that way archetype, like Jessica Rabbit, but with more pucks and fewer curves.
And his grandmother Sylvia, the meddling, snarky matchmaker. The Kris Jenner of hockey grandmas, as you so eloquently put it.
She's the real most valuable player, stirring the pot, pushing these two together. I bet she's got a secret betting pool going on with the other grandmas in town. $10 says they're fake, engaged by Valentine's Day.
And let's not forget Margot, the town's mean girl. I bet she wears too much blush and has a vendetta against anyone who doesn't own a designer handbag.
She's the Regina George of Loveland, the one who makes Poppy grab Dallas in the coffee shop in the first place. This whole fake relationship is her fault.
So, the burning question, is this book actually any good? Reviewers are conflicted, to say the least.
If you're looking for clean hockey romance, Courtney delivers. And where can I find a Dallas Burke? Fans myself, heck yeah. That's one review. Sounds like someone needs a cold shower.
And then we have, did not finish after 4 chapters. The female main character is painted as not being desirable at all. The duality of woman.
I'm not a fan of a female main character with lots of insecurities. Well, excuse me, princess. Some of us find insecurity endearing, in a pity-inducing sort of way.
You're digging yourself a hole. And then there's the therapy debate. One reviewer was outraged by the suggestion that a bad therapist might be to blame for ineffective therapy.
Outraged. Over that, I'm outraged that this book doesn't have a single car chase. Or at least a Zamboni chase. That would spice things up.
It's a romance, not an action movie, and some reviewers found the pacing too fast, others too slow. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but with plot development instead of porridge.
If this character were a sandwich, what kind of sandwich would she be?
I don't know. Perhaps a grilled cheese, comforting, familiar, but potentially a little bland if not made with the right ingredients.
I'd say she's a peanut butter and jelly. Predictable, a little sticky, and definitely not for everyone.
I received a listener email. It says, "Is a national treasure, never change."
The people love me.
I highly doubt that email is real.
So, our final verdict. What's our absurd rating system for this unique piece of literature?
I give it 8 out of 10 fake engagement rings, sparkly, potentially valuable, but ultimately not quite the real thing.
I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 therapy sessions. Potentially helpful, but you might need a second opinion.
So, basically, it's a mixed bag. Like a box of chocolates where half of them are filled with disappointment.
A rather cynical analogy, but not entirely inaccurate.
Join us next week, folks, when we'll be discussing The Vampire's Accountant, a thrilling tale of tax evasion and blood-sucking. In the literal sense this time.
That sounds utterly ridiculous.
Exactly. Tune into Heart Book Radio, where the only thing we take seriously is absolutely nothing.